You're at lunch with a coworker you've sat next to for 3 years. The sandwiches arrive, and you realize with a sudden drop in your stomach that you know absolutely nothing about this person. When panic sets in, we trigger our default small talk defense mechanism. We desperately scan the conversation for a mirrored reflection of our own exact hobbies. It usually goes like this. They mention they love fishing. You hate fishing, so instead of asking about it, you immediately pivot to a topic you care about. You mention you're into rock climbing. They think rock climbing sounds miserable. You both sip your drinks in silence. The error here is trying to find common ground in a perfectly rigid straight line. If you like A and they like B, the brain calculates a 0% match. Relying on this literal checklist makes your connection dependent on coincidence. Without a direct match, the conversation stops because neither person has provided the other with a way in. But deep connection is built on shared feelings, not shared activities. To engineer that connection and bypass the small talk trap entirely, you need a specific system. It's called the match framework. To see how it works, we have to rewind that painful coworker lunch all the way back to the start and change our opening move. Step 1 is M, make an offer. Before you ask a single question, you volunteer a small, meaningful piece of information about yourself. This acts as a preemptive strike on social tension. It lowers the other person's guard because you take on the risk of going first. You have to serve the ball before you can start a rally. Once the ball is in play, you move to A, ask across high-yielding areas. We're abandoning low-yield topics like the weather or weekend plans. Instead, you keep 6 specific conversational pathways in your back pocket. You ask about their past, their daily patterns, their preferences, their pet peeves, their possibilities for the future, or even their preems, which is just a less intimidating word for their dreams. In our lunch scenario, you use the past node. You ask your coworker what it was like growing up, and they reveal they actually struggled severely with communication as a kid. Deploying these prompts forces the dialogue out of the shallow end and directly into substantive territory. Now we reach T, track the echo. An echo is the hidden emotional weight or symbolic value sitting right behind a literal statement. Look back at the fishing example. The act itself serves as a placeholder for a specific set of values, like a desire for solitude, a connection to nature, or the satisfaction of self-sufficiency. Apply that same logic to your coworker's childhood communication struggle. The literal experience represents echoes of loneliness, isolation, and a deep sense of invisibility. Once you hear that echo, you execute C, clarify the echo. You ask a follow-up question targeting that exact emotion. You ask, how did feeling invisible impact you growing up? Listening for that echo transforms a single, alien understanding. Your coworker answers the clarifying question. They explain that to cope with feeling invisible, they changed schools 5 different times just so they could constantly reinvent themselves. This brings you to the final step of the framework, the H, highlight the match out loud. You might have lived in the same town your whole life, but you realize you've changed jobs 3 times in the last 5 years to achieve that exact same feeling of reinvention. You share this out loud. By verbally highlighting this emotional parallel, the awkward social vacuum at the table completely dissolves. The tension is replaced by genuine camaraderie. Mastering this framework takes human connection out of the realm of random chance and turns it into a reliable, replicable skill. Common ground is often hidden beneath the surface of the stories we tell. Connection happens when the specific details of a story fall away, leaving behind a shared feeling you both recognize instantly, regardless of how you got there.